Good morning, North Jersey. You did it. It's Friday, May 29th, and we're bringing you the news that you need to know right now. So, as the state continues to ease coronavirus restrictions, restaurants are demanding the state to allow outdoor dining immediately. Now, the New Jersey Restaurant and Hospitality Association said it's fed up and it wants to get back to work. Now, some North Jersey towns are coming to the rescue and finding some creative solutions to allow for outdoor dining. So here to talk about the restaurant industry and the response from local towns is our food and dining reporter, Rebecca King, and our local reporter, Katie Sopko. Good morning. How are you two?
Good morning.
Morning, Jessie. How are you?
I'm doing good. So we're hearing a lot of things from the restaurant industry. Rebecca, you're out there, you're on the forefront, really talking to our owners, our chefs. How's everyone holding up?
They're not doing great. It's a common misconception that restaurants make a lot of money and they have a lot of money in the bank to help them through hard times like this. But it actually is notoriously difficult for restaurants to turn a profit. And right now, they are deemed an essential business, but they are only allowed to offer takeout and pickup. So their dine-in services are closed. And because of that, they are losing a ton of revenue. So much money is being lost. So this is really difficult. It's a challenging time for restaurant owners, and a lot of them are really hoping to open back up, at least outside. So doctors and scientists have said that being outside is so much less risky than being inside. So what they're hoping to do is open back on their patios, block off their sidewalks, block off their streets, block off their parking lots, and open up some tables there. So that will help them at least get a foot in the door to make more revenue, return to some type of normalcy. And as you said, the New Jersey Restaurant Association has created their own guidelines to help people reopen. And we can discuss that in a second. But the biggest frustration that restaurant owners are having right now is that they've received no guidance from the state. Barring when they initially opened, when they were initially deemed essential and were allowed to continue to serve takeout and dining, they haven't received any guidance or any timeline as to when they can reopen beyond that.
Got it. Now, again, the landscape is really changing for the restaurant industry here, and we'll get back to in just a second, Rebecca, to talk a little bit more about what that looks like. But now, Katie, you're on the ground. You're really talking to these local towns, and I'm hearing they're getting creative to allow for outdoor dining. What's the local response?
Yeah, a lot of towns have done things. Towns that already have ordinances that allow for sidewalk dining have done things like waive the fees. They're really trying to help these businesses get back on their feet, get up and running. Other towns, Ridgewood, for instance, and Morristown has already applied to the DOT to close streets, maybe on certain nights, maybe during certain hours, because these are major thoroughfares, but they want to make it so that people can enjoy a meal outside at an appropriate social distance, to really just help the community, to help these businesses. As the mayor of Englewood said, we flattened the medical curve. Now it's time to break the economic curve. So these are really things that these towns are trying to do because they know that these businesses are vital to their communities for morale and for economic means.
Absolutely. And it's great to see, all of these different pieces come together. And now, Rebecca, let's go back to the dining industry and let's really talk about, having a cocktail out on the patio again. Are restaurants ready? Are people even ready to go out and dine again?
Sure. Jessie, that's a great question because the restaurant industry is so diverse. So that encompasses both the Applebee's, down the corner, and the locally owned bagel shop. So I've heard a lot of different things. Most people are very ready to open back up. They're raring to go. They are frustrated with the state that they haven't been given a timeline or guidelines. However, I've spoken to other restaurant owners who are saying, hey, we can't ensure that our restaurant is going to be safe. We can't ensure that our staff is going to be good, or is going to be healthy. We can't ensure that our customers are going to, not bring in the disease. So because of that, they might not even open for the rest of the year. Some people are saying, hey, we've completely switched to a takeout model, and right now opening up for dine-in is not sustainable for us. I've spoken to other restaurant owners who are saying, we rely mostly on curbside pickup. If you block off streets and people can't, come in to do the curbside pickup, then that's going to greatly reduce our revenue. So it really isn't a cut and dry issue. What I will say is that a majority are ready to open, at least outside. And like we said, the New Jersey Restaurant Association has released guidelines. So this includes, making sure that tables are 6 feet apart, making sure customers and waitstaff wear masks, making sure that the tables are cleaned between every round, making sure that, even non-conventional things, having a bathroom monitor, because if a lot of people need to go to the restroom and they're going inside for that, that's going to create a problem. Making sure that ketchup bottles aren't left on tables, that it's individual use, making sure that straws are not unwrapped. So as you can see, this really gets down to the minutia of things. And because the New Jersey Restaurant Association has done this legwork, what they really want right now is the ability to talk to Governor Murphy. They haven't received any word from him. They've tried to speak to, senators and assembly members as well. And they've kind of gotten radio silence on it. So across the board, what people would like to see is some type of acknowledgement from the state saying, yes, you can open at this time. And these are the guidelines that you need to follow. And as far as, customers go, I've spoken to a lot of restaurant owners who say, we have customers who are ready to go right now. They want a bottle of wine. They want to be out on the deck. And we also have customers that are saying, hey, I have a pre-existing condition. I might never come back to your restaurant. And they're okay with that. They're fine with that. Restaurants are adjusting. They are hoping to open, more takeout options even when they're back open for dine-in. So it's a complicated issue, but to sum it up, people would really like some guidance from the state.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think everyone wants to hear guidance, whether it be the schools, whether it be restaurants. I think we're really looking at that from the state. Now, before I let you two go, I do want to read that comment that we got from one of our viewers. So Wendy Palumbo, she said, of course I dine outside, providing it wasn't overlooking a busy road or parking lot. Who wants to breathe in fumes while they're eating? I mean, and that's a good point. Like you were saying, Katie, if if they open up streets and if they open, up or they close off these areas, for dining, they, the towns have to really regulate and control those scenarios. Another question for you, Rebecca, what's the restaurant the first restaurant you'd want to dine out if allowed to do so by the state?
That is a great question. And before I answer that, I do want to address what Wendy is saying. Just touch on it and say, I've spoken to, for example, Kevin Porcher from the Village Green, which is in Ridgewood. And his point is, Ridgewood is a really easy place to block off. They can block off that whole downtown to cars and people can be rerouted. And it's a very simple process. It's going to be pleasant to dine outside. So that's a scenario where this is going to work. However, I also spoke to the owners of Red's Hut. And if you've ever been to Red's Hut, that it has a big parking lot, but that's a completely different setup. Closing off the streets in Clifton, it's not going to be the same as closing off the streets in Ridgewood. There's a lot more, urban development there. It's a lot more spread out. So another thing that the New Jersey Restaurant Association is hoping to do is put it in the jurisdiction of the town. If the town deems that they can safely and responsibly close off streets and allow people to open, that's what they'll do. So Ridgewood is a great example. Montclair might be a great example. However, places that don't have downtowns, that's going to be up to the town, hopefully, to be able to judge whether or not it's feasible for restaurants to open up. So now, which restaurant I would like to go to? I would really like to go to Faubourg in Montclair. They are open for takeout right now. It's a really great French restaurant, and it's actually the last restaurant that I went to before the closures happened. So it may seem crazy that I want to go back there, but for some reason I just have this memory of this really good coq au vin that I got there, and it's a beautiful space inside. So it also has a lovely outdoor space. So I would love to dine outside there, but also once I can get back inside, I'm definitely going to be first in line.
You are there. Katie, I have to ask you the same question. Do you have any idea what would be the first restaurant you'd want to dine out if outdoor dining were allowed?
Well, I don't live in Bergen County. I live down the shore. So it would be pretty much anything that's overlooking the water. You got to find a deck where you can get a drink, overlook the water, and get something good to eat.
That's right. I mean, I like the next person, I am ready to have a cocktail on the patio next to a body of water. But, as long as we can do this safely, I am all game. Now, the two of you, thank you so much for the story. Thank you so much for this discussion. Folks, if you want to catch up on more dining news, feel free to head over to northjersey.com and catch more reporting from Rebecca King and Katie Sapko. Thank you to the two of you.
Thanks,
Thank
Jessie.
you.
Alrighty, folks. Now, let's switch some gears. We have some great news from Morris County. Now, 18-year-old Zachary Orr, he's a senior at Morris Hills High School, and despite years of bullying and teasing, his love and empathy for others remain strong. Now, his guidance counselor, Heather McDonald, and the rest of her department nominated Zach for this year's Most Caring Student Award given to each student at each Morris County High School. Now, on Thursday, Zach was surprised at his home and presented with the special award. He was stunned by the recognition and said it felt amazing to be recognized as a caring person. Congratulations, Zachary, and we really need more humans just like you. Now, folks, before I let you go, just want to let you know we had a discussion earlier about dining, about restaurants, and the potential possibility of dining outside. If you have some comments, if you have some suggestions, or if you have just some concerns, feel free to leave us a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. And now, folks, the news, it doesn't stop here. You can head over to northjersey.com for the latest news throughout the day. Again, leave us a comment down below, reach out on Twitter or on Instagram. Now, we're going to leave you with some footage, a look into Warwick Drive-In. Now, they're doing a little something to ease the coronavirus blues. Now, folks, I'm Jessie Gomez, and thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful weekend.
The opening night was just phenomenal. There was 4 lines to the road. People were in here, and their smiles on their face was more than anybody could ever give anybody. It was worth every penny, every blood, sweat, and tears we put out here last week, getting it ready to open. It was just the smiles. People thanked us for having something to do, because there's nothing else really to do, and it's sad.
It means getting out in the fresh air, doing
great.
something different, things like playing board games at home, drive-in movies. If there's one thing that we've been trying to instill in this whole thing is taking back appreciation for those things, and you know, these small homegrown owned type of places that you want to make sure you keep in business so that things like this don't become a thing of the past.
Just to get out some, you get tired of being in the house because of the virus and stuff, so we just wanted to get out, you know, and enjoy the fresh air. And
It's social distancing. You have to park in between the 2 white poles in drive-in number 1 and drive-in number 2 are 19 feet in between, so you're going to come in and you're going to park right in the middle. Masks are required when you go into common areas like your bathrooms and the snack bars. Did half our sales every night are pre-sale tickets. We've put an app in place for curbside pickup. Our bathrooms, we can only have 1 stall open at a time. That's why we brought in several more porta-johns.
Something fun to do, something nostalgic, something different. The ability to see a movie and not, be outside and not worry about, Corona a little bit. Kind of an escape.